world of Arcavios has countless stories to tell. For valor is not something that has ever been scarce here, and neither has ambition. However, this particular story, the story of the Ravenhunters, starts right about here, at the Dragon's Spire Peak. The Avatars had won a major battle, securing their army a natural defensive structure about halfway through on the road to Strixhaven, a tactical stronghold for the Dragon's Guard. And so, celebrations were afoot, and moods were festive. But for one person in particular, the celebrations had taken a rather odd turn. For the first time in his life, he was out with a girl, and it was not about fighting or saving anyone. It was a strange experience for him, because it was the first time in his life that he had met somebody who set his heart aflutter. And the feeling seemed mutual, for both had spent many an hour together, roaming between places of interest, enjoying each other's company and comfort. Eventually, they had found a perfect place to sit together under the calming embrace of the stars on a lone peak. Laying there, bathing in that ancient light, the wary paladin had fallen asleep. And that was where the story took a sinister turn. Because it was then that the girl made her move. It was then that she had shown her true colors. She was no ordinary barmaid, as it turned out, and she had definitely not come to mingle with him. She had come to assassinate Hammond Stormborn, the avatar of Witherbloom, the heretic. She was the knife in the dark, and death was her liege. However, as the woman advanced to finish off one of the rising heroes of Arcavios, she felt as if the ground itself had risen up to grab her feet, to stop her. The dagger in her hand, a comforting presence otherwise, suddenly had gone cold and heavy. She tried to move, tried to force herself, to commit, but she had failed. And only then the paladin, who was assumed to be sleeping, spoke, opening his eyes and looking over at the winged demonic form of the girl he was falling for. "Well, why did you stop?" he asked her calmly, without rising, without showing any aggression or malice. "Weren't you here to kill me?" And the succubus, surprised by seeing him awake, could do little but turn her back on him, the dagger clattering to the ground, her wings folding back. No sobs escaped her lips, but even a fool could tell that she had been crying. "Well, you see," the paladin said jovially, picking up her dagger and offering it to her, "if you're crying because you couldn't finish the job, I'm willing to give you a fair chance." In response, the succubus, as it was well deserved perhaps, elbowed him in the ribs, making him buckle and fold. "If that was what I wanted, you would already be dead," the succubus had replied angrily. "Fair," the paladin replied in a pained voice. "I'll go then," Hammond had finally said to her. "It is dangerous these days to stay with me, especially if you are not the aforementioned danger yourself." Then he had started gathering his things, preparing to leave, and the succubus watched him with a resigned expression, having failed in both her mission and in that other distant hope she was subconsciously holding. Then, just before summoning his giant eagle, he looked back at her, looking at him. "By the way, thank you for deciding not to kill me," Ham said. "Considering who your liege is, it was a bold move." The succubus snorted at that. "I am paying with my life for that mistake, thanks to you. Don't worry yourself too much about her. the paladin finally said, waving at himself. She won't be a problem for long. For anyone. I promise you that. What do you mean? The girl asked him, already catching on to the implications but finding it impossible to believe. You can't possibly be. You bet I am, Ham said seriously. I had just about enough of these gods trying to control us mortals. It's about time it ends. I am short on people, though, he said. Would you like to join me, considering, your liege? And the girl, the succubus, a one-time champion of the Queen of Death, Malastare Alla Negra, looked into his eyes, saw his strength reflect in them, saw his resolve, and took his hand. And that's how, my friends, the foundation of the Ravenhunters was laid, and the heroic adventure began. However, as they set out, inevitably to meet more of their peers, little do they know, death already had their scent.